Hey there everybody, Wayne Defrancesco here, and welcome to the club site. If you haven't joined, well, this is where you get these cool videos before anybody else sees them. So here we have Mr. McIlroy, US Open champ, here on the left at the US Open, and here on the right at the Masters. Now, I've had a couple of requests for a comparison of the two to see if he'd changed anything or did anything different. Obviously, he was playing great at the Masters until the fourth round, where he shot himself out of the tournament with a bunch of bad shots, mostly hooks. But at Congressional, he just kept hitting the ball good. So, luckily, we've got a couple of swings here that are very comparable. We've got the second hole here at Congressional, which is 240 yards, and over here at Augusta we've got the fourth hole, which, as you can see up there, is 233 yards. So he's hitting a 3-iron, pretty sure, on both holes. The camera angle is extremely similar, and both cameras are fixed, so I can draw some lines and I can show you that it's different. One of my viewers posted and said, well, there's no way it's any different, because I pointed out a couple of things that are kind of odd in Rory's swing. And when I did the video on the Masters, I showed how I just sort of came back and bit him. But anyway, let's take a look at these two swings here. So I'm going to draw my standard lines. The only drawback we have is that the cameras are situated a little bit far back. But get your magnifying glasses out and we'll take a look here. So as you can see by the numbers, the shaft angle is pretty similar. So we know if it's not the exact same club, it's within one probably. Alright, so let's take a look. If we go over to the Masters swing over here, it's pretty standard. He just takes his hands a little out. The club stays slightly above the shaft plane, but certainly parallel to it. Type of takeaway that's very common among good players. A lot of players pull the club right back on the line, and a lot of guys extend a little bit on the way back, and that's what Rory does. His progressions are also pretty normal. Nice full motion here with a long iron. So he goes from, I think we had it at 51, and then 60, 64, and over here you'll see almost the same pattern. There we go. Degree off here or there, a little bit. Now, this is where you're going to see the big difference. You might already notice a slight difference in the movement in the backswing. If you watch the lower body, you'll see a slight drifting forward a little sooner here at Augusta when he took it back. I keep playing these back and forth. Some people get annoyed at me, but this is where you can sort of see the motion. If you focus in on his waist area, you'll see a slight forward lean. You'll almost see his butt want to try to come off of the back line there, and the left knee push forward a little bit. And when I look at the one on the left here, I don't see that forward lean. So I see the right leg actually retracting. So if you look at the top of the right thigh, it's a little more difficult with black pants, but I see that starting to move forward here. And here on this swing, I see it deeper. Now, in the forward swing, when we watch this thing move, what I want you to note here is the amount of knee that's ahead of that knee line coming forward. So here we are where the left arm is parallel in the downswing. And what you're going to see here is you're going to see that on the right there's a bit more of his right leg out from under him, and there's definitely more of his butt forward of that box, that hip box here. So you can see that little space right adjacent to where I drew that line there. And look at over here on the left, back in the box better than the one over here on the right. And to me, that, when you saw me comment on, if you look at that video I did on the Masters, that's what I think was the major headache. He began to get himself moving forward into his toes more so than he would normally do. You can see how much the bill of his cap goes forward. But in this one, his hips, the belt buckle stays much, much deeper. And that provides him more space to get that right arm, which likes to fall a little bit behind him. It gives him a ton of space to bring it around and through. So, to me, since it's something I look for in a good swing, I find that to be incredibly significant. So I think that whatever he was working on had to do with hip depth and keeping the left hip back and in, so that when he pivoted and the knees went under him, the left hip was deep enough to clear back into the heel and give him the ability to swing around to the left a little bit easier, or at least get the club out and around more consistently, where he wouldn't get his body in the way and force his right arm to snap the club over. Now, if we go to, here's a swing from, again, from this is the third round. Now, this is what I want you to watch here, because this, I think, is Rory's real secret over here. I think what you're going to see, oops, wrong one, is his move in his takeaway is, I've never seen anyone do this. I think it's completely unique. I would actually go as far as to call it his secret, because what he does is he pulls his left hip and the whole upper left leg and the knee, he pulls it behind him on an angle back behind him, which you would have to call a counter rotation. It's certainly in the opposite direction. So what happens is, as he starts back, that left hip has been driven inward, so that if you picture his pelvis here as being sort of tilted like that, what he's done is he's pushed the inside of it back and kept it tilted with the left hip extremely deep. And what this allows him to do is to take that completely unique knee action, which would normally get a player severely stuck, but his left leg is so far back behind him that when his knee moves forward, he can still pivot into his heel and rotate into a hugely open position. See, he hadn't even hit it yet. So you gotta figure the ball is just gone there, right there. So he's got to be 60, 70 degrees open. Now look at that right leg thrust up now. You wonder why he hits it so far. Watch the straightening of the legs. His legs get so straight and the club is so extended and released that he has literally nowhere to go until the club moves around a little further. So the hips actually stop completely and start back around again. So, you know, you're not going to really see anything that looks like that amongst better players. See if I can. There was a really good swing. Yeah, here we go. This is so check this out. Now, by itself, if you watch knee action like that, you'd have to think that his head was going to pull back, which it didn't. It went forward. See, here what you don't see is the movement in the takeaway. But watch this knee movement. I mean, you just don't see that. You look at Hogan and Trevino, you're going to see knee action that goes inward, not both knees going out. Alright? So, the idea here is that without that first move, which is there, and look at that left leg. I mean, that's weird. It's almost straight. So without that, this action wouldn't work. And if you look at where that upper right arm is right there, it appears to be behind him, but now it's really not. Look at all the room it has. So here he's making contact. Look how bent his arm is up there. And watch it straighten. See, his right arm is straightening to the left, which again you wouldn't think would be possible with his knees coming out from under him. You'd think he'd be firing the thing way out straight or out to the right. So certainly you would never see his left heel coming up in the backswing. Look at that footwork. I mean, again, you would think he'd be shooting up his right heel, but his legs are so deep. But again, another thing to notice here, and if Brandel Chambly is watching, I want you to take note of this. Let's take a look at this head movement. Well, there's the first drop. There's the second drop. I think if you compare that to Tiger, which I might have to do here, that you would actually see that that's an equal amount of drop. Now, the other thing that's pretty equal is the snapping up into the ball. I mean, check out the hips here. So here's the belt line. That's pretty up. Look at that straightening. Pretty awesome stuff. Very cool video. I mean, very cool swing to watch. I mean, all the announcers were gushing over how great it is. Yeah, it's great. He hit it great. It works. But man, it's interesting. You know, if they would look at it a little more closely, they would see how some of the cool stuff he does to make what is unconventional, which is that leg movement, work for him. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back.